Stay dandy, baby. When it comes to action anime, I'm a super cheap date. Just give me a bunch of cool superhero characters fighting against each other and I'm pretty much going to love it. And that's pretty much what this entire episode of My Hero Academia is all about, as Class 1A and Class 1B are getting ready to throw down in a massive competition. And there's not even really anything complex about it, it's gonna be 4-on-4 battles, but man, I'm just so excited to see this, especially because I think that Class B is remarkably interesting. I mean, I think they're just as interesting as Class A, they just haven't had as much screen time, and I really can't wait to see what that's all going to be about in these big coming battles, which for the most part are mostly teased in this episode, but it does end with the very first match beginning, and it features a ton of really interesting characters. I mean, My Hero Academia has some of the most unique and fun characters in just about any anime that I've ever seen, and getting to see them in action and their various quirks and superpowers is always a pleasant surprise. But most of this episode was a build-up to that event. We do get to spend a little bit more time with Deku and All Might as he's discussing that weird moment he had where he had the vision of all of the predecessors of his quirk, the vestiges of One for All. And he even gets to comment on the fact that there's a couple of people within this group who are completely mysterious and he can't quite make them out, and even they don't really know what the deal is here. All Might has no idea really what's going on here. He understands that previous users of this ability did at least have the ability to somewhat see the previous users and maybe even communicate with them, but the way that it's actually going for Deku is completely unique. It's very, very strange. There's also the talk of the fact that there are certain heroes within the series who are going to inherit some extreme abilities which are so powerful that basically they will not be able to control them all themselves. But this all happens so quick and it gets swept under the rug before we immediately get thrown into the action of introducing all of these characters as they prepare to throw down in a big epic competition. So what's really interesting here is that we have this competition that's going to happen between A and B classes, but we also get to see the return of the brainwashing quirk superhero Hitoshi Shinso. And he's a really interesting character because he's in neither of these classes, but he seems to have the unique ability to eventually become a hero himself, but he's going to need that experience. So they've actually decided to bring him into this competition because he wants to advance his skills and become a superhero. Now this is really exciting because, of course, Deku had a really intense fight with him during the sports festival, and it looks like we're going to get something of a rematch between these characters here too. But what's really awesome about Hitoshi is that he's actually going to be working with both B and A in this competition. And this adds kind of a unique element to this whole thing, because initially it seemed like it was going to be 4-on-4 battles. But now that Hitoshi has joined it, there is going to be these matches where eventually there's going to be a 5 versus 4 team, which at first seems kind of unfair, but they make it clear that since Hitoshi doesn't have as much quirk superhero experience, he also sort of acts as a handicap for that team despite the fact that they have an extra member with them. But still, that's beside the point. Basically here, this is all just a build-up and a reminder of why these characters are so freaking awesome. And there's a lot of standouts in this episode. I think it was great to see the return of the character of Nato, who is the most annoyingly fun character in the series. He has the most massive superiority complex, and even after he gets knocked down a peg like 1,000 times, even getting his ass completely handed to him, he still manages to come back and be the most petty asshole ever. But man, he just manages to be so much fun. Not to mention, I think this is going to be a great way to expand on a lot of those other students from B who didn't get a lot of screen time, and getting to see more of what their abilities are going to be, and just seeing more of them in action. But again, it's the unique combinations of the teams coming together which I think is going to be really great. And the first competition is going to feature Hitoshi actually working along with a couple of the other Class A students. And those, of course, include Eijiro, we have Denki, we have Tsuyu, Frog Girl, who's incredibly popular, not to mention Koji Koda, with his ability to talk to animals. So this is already a pretty unique team right here, but they're going up against the Class B students, and they are just as interesting in my opinion. Ibarra, who is the girl who has the vine-like hair, looks like she's going to be taking part in this competition, and they make it seem like she's like going to be the biggest threat. But I'd be looking out for this other guy who goes by the name of Kurota, who is basically like a giant Sasquatch beast man, and he's really freaking awesome. He's a character that I didn't really see much of in the previous seasons, but this is going to be an opportunity to build upon him and how he's just this big, ridiculous ridiculous, powerful Sasquatch kind of monster of a character. We even get the return of Kosei, again, another character who utilizes his ability to use air, and he can now like create all of these like weird sort of like walls and barriers that he can use to trap people in, and apparently it can negate sound, which is going to be really instrumental against someone like Koji Koda, who can talk to animals, or Hitoshi, who also has the distinctive ability to use his brainwashing ability to, of course, take over people's minds. But he also has a brand new ability, which is this like weird, really wicked looking mask that he has, which allows him to copy the voice of anyone, apparently. He calls it his persona Chords, and he uses this to basically manipulate people in a much smarter way, because now they're not even going to recognize his voice. He can change it to just about anyone's, and when he does this, the mask goes through like a little transformation. The episode actually ends with him taking control of Kurota, which really surprises Kosei. He actually is able to perfectly mimic his voice to take control of this situation, and it's a great cliffhanger ending. I just cannot wait to see more of what Hitoshi's going to be all about, as he was too remarkably interesting of a character to simply just be left in the sports festival. He's so interesting they had to bring him back here, and I really can't wait to see more of his advancement and what type of character he's going to become. He's such a weird combination of all those dark, brooding, I must overcome everything type of characters that we've already seen so much of in My Hero Academia, but his past confrontations with Deku and the fact that this is sort of like his big opportunity to become like a next big hero is really freaking awesome. And again, I cannot stress how cool it is to actually see that mask. He looks so cool and way more distinctive, and knowing more about his relationship with Shota Aizawa, I also think is kind of cool, with the fact that he's actually sort of wearing his wrappings and everything around him. He just exudes so much coolness, and I cannot wait to see more from his character. I really think he's going to be a big highlight for this arc, and this one ended on one hell of a cliffhanger. I'm sure we're going to see so many more epic battles as the series is going to go on, as we have a lot of really unique teams and powers. I just can't wait to see more here. I wonder what this entire arc is going to mostly consist of, though, after watching this episode, and I want to discuss that a little bit more in the rundown of this episode of My Hero Academia. So, I think it goes without saying that I really loved this one. It's basically a hype-building kind of episode, focusing on everything going on with Deku and the other predecessors of his ability, but they throw you right into this now brand new competition, which I think has always been one of the most fun things about this series, is showing all these students come together and have competition and seeing how their powers have advanced and changed. And even a lot of them have like some brand new outfits, most of which are very only subtly different, like Katsuki Bakugo, who basically now has a slightly more black costume. I don't know, it fits with his explosive and dark personality, and I like it. Deku, of course, continues to get his very own unique, things added to his costume as well, but most of the other characters, for the most part, kind of look the same. It's Hitoshi Shinso who ends up being, I think, one of the more interesting characters in this episode. I mean, they make it very clear in the intro of this brand new season that he's important. His eventual confrontation with Deku, which will happen, is going to be intense, and I can't wait to see how it's going to go and how it's going to advance both of these characters from a characterization kind of standpoint. But I wonder how long this competition is going to go on for. I wonder if this is what this entire season is going to be all about, or if we're going to dive into another major arc after this. I'm really interested to see how that's going to go, as I want to see more advancement of some of the other things that are going on in the background of the series, especially in regards to the League of Villains, especially how they were built up at the end of the last season, and I'd like to see more of all the things going on with Endeavor and Hawks. But as it is right now, I think we're buried deep into this A versus B competition, and I have high hopes to see what it's going to do and how it's going to advance a lot of these characters. And I hope, like the previous arcs of the series, they take advantage of some of the seldom used characters and give them some really great moments, because we still, I don't even really think, have, cracked the surface of what this series is truly capable of, and there's just so much more that could happen. Basically, I'm just hyped, simple as that. Production value-wise, another pretty solid looking episode. Again, a lot of things are going to be built up here, but for the most part it looked good. We had a little bit of action at the end, which was really awesome and handled really well, but it's very clear they're going to be probably saving some of their bigger budget moments when we get to everything that's going on with the core main characters of the series, Deku, Katsuki, Bakugo, that type of thing. I really hope it's going to live up to all of the hype. I'm so excited for all of it, and I hope to gain more of an appreciation for the seldom used characters as well as those from Class B. I'm very excited for all of that stuff. So, that's basically it, guys. That's my thoughts on My Hero Academia. I want to hear your thoughts on this episode. Are you excited for the big competition between A and B? Do you want to see more from Hitoshi Shinso and his character? How do you think he's going to change as this arc is going to go on? And what do you hope to see from the rest of the season? Let's discuss that and this episode. Comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more video reviews just like this one. It's a brand new spring anime season. There's a lot of new shows. If there's one that you guys want me to cover or talk about, sound off in the comment section below. If I have the time, I will try and look at it. Also, if you liked this video, use your superpowered quirk. Hit that like button. It takes just a second and it helps out these videos a lot and makes it so more people can see my videos when they are released. I also want to take this time to thank all of my patrons. You guys are superheroes in and of yourselves. You're making those monthly donations, and I just cannot thank you enough for that. Seriously, it just shows so much loyalty for the channel, and it really makes me happy to know that you like my content. So make sure to continue to do that. Remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice, as well as adding your name to this list of amazing people that you currently see on screen, the superpowered superheroes of Ace Guru. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.